Imagine being a child that learned that love was dangerous. Imagine you're 8 years old. You don't understand personality disorders. You don't know what narcissistic rage is. You don't know what emotional regulation means. All you know is that one of your parents can go from calm to furious in seconds. One wrong look, one wrong word, one display of affection towards the other parent. And suddenly the atmosphere changes. The temperature in the room drops. The tension becomes unbearable. The child doesn't need a psychology degree to understand what's happening. Children are survival experts. They quickly learn which behaviors keep the peace and which behaviors create chaos. So imagine living with a parent who becomes angry, disgusted, hostile, withdrawn, or emotionally explosive whenever the other parent is mentioned. The child learns a simple lesson. If I show love for mum, dad gets angry. Or if I show love for dad, mum gets upset. The lesson isn't taught with words. It's taught through fear, through tension, through emotional punishment, through the look, through the silence, through the tears, through the rage. The child begins monitoring the emotional weather every day, not because they're manipulative, because they're trying to survive. They become responsible for regulating the unstable parent, keeping them calm, keeping them happy, keeping them from exploding. And once that happens, something tragic occurs. The child slowly stops expressing what they really feel. Not because they don't love the targeted parent, because loving the targeted parent has become dangerous. The child is placed in an impossible position, a hostage situation without chains. Choose me or suffer the consequences. No judge says those words. No parent says those words directly. But the child understands the message perfectly. So when people see a child screaming at contact handover, no, I don't want to go, no, I don't want to go, no, 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 they assume they're watching a free choice. But what if they're watching a survival strategy? What if the child isn't rejecting a parent? What if the child is protecting themselves from what happens later if they don't? Because the real fear may not exist at that contact center. The real fear may be waiting at home. And that's the uncomfortable truth many people don't want to discuss. Because we ask a child to openly love both parents before we ask them to build a damaged relationship, before we demand they express their true feelings. We have to ask a more important question. Who is protecting that child afterwards? Because if a child believes showing affection for one parent will trigger emotional retaliation from the other, then bonding becomes dangerous. And children will always choose safety over authenticity. Every single. That doesn't make them disloyal. It doesn't make them manipulative. It doesn't make them broken. It makes them human. A child cannot freely love both parents when one parent has made that love unsafe. And until that child feels protected from the consequences, we should not be surprised when their fear speaks louder than love. But try and point that out in a family court situation scenario, because you can't prove it.